Hi, my name is Joey Sorrell Young. I'm here with my dad, Steven. The date is October 28th, 2020, and we are recording this interview in Chicago, Illinois, and we're recording this interview during the COVID-19 pandemic. So, hi, Dad.
Hello.
So I'm gonna get started with the questions now. When and where were you kind of born?
I was born December 29th in Chicago, in a hospital that no longer exists.
Okay. So how was your childhood, especially since you were sort of the youngest in your family, and you were also with a bunch of girls growing up?
Well, I'm not sure. Can you specify exactly how my
Generally, how was your
Well, okay. So for the first 12 years of my life, we lived in Bartlett, Illinois. Prior to that, my dad was in the Navy, so when I was small, we went around to several places, such as San Diego, Norfolk, Virginia, and Chicago, where all the Navy bases are. And then from 6 to 12, we lived in Bartlett, Illinois, and then my mom and dad got a divorce, and my rest of my childhood disappeared.
So at any point while you were living throughout either the Navy bases or at your house, did you ever get mad or frustrated at your older siblings?
Yes, all the time. They used to pick on me all the time because I was the youngest and the only boy.
When you left your parents' house, specifically when you went to go to high school or college, did you how did you feel? Did you feel free, or did you feel sad that you were leaving your parents or anything like that?
Well, when I was 12, first of all, we lived with my dad. After the divorce, we lived with my mom until about a month later, and then we would live with my dad. And then from there, a year and a half later, we went back to my mom's house, and my mom put me in a group home for boys. And that's where I lived from 12 until I was in college.
So you didn't go to high school at all?
No, I went to Loyola Academy. That was part of the group home. But I didn't see my mom except on weekends. So it was essentially I wasn't living there. So after the first year or two, I kind of got not missing my house at all. There were better stuff at the group home than there was at my house.
So, how did you kind of feel at the group home?
Well, that's a trick question. I didn't want to be at the group home, but eventually you get used to stuff.
Okay, so where did you go to college, actually?
I went to Loyola University.
Okay. And, where did you, major and minor in college?
I majored in social work, and I minored in political science.
So what made you want to become a social worker?
Well, when I was in the group home, a gentleman who was a social worker had an influence on my life and helped me out. So I felt that was the right profession for me at the time, and it turns out that was correct.
Okay. So how did you meet Mom?
Well, I met your mother I was fixed up for a coworker work introduced both of us and kind of tricked us into, well, not tricked us, but set us up so we could go for breakfast.
So, and then you guys just started dating after that?
Yeah, we had a second date after that, and then a third, then a fourth, then a fifth, and so on and so on.
Okay. So these last two questions are more pertaining to like COVID-19 and like your side of the pandemic. So how are you currently handling the COVID situation, especially with most recent regarding you having a case at work?
Oh, well, I'm a first responder or a healthcare provider. That's better yet, I'm an essential worker, is the actual term. So I have to go into work. I run into COVID cases every day. How am I coping is to make sure that I wear my protective equipment when I'm at work so I can do my job without getting infected. Recently, some staff members got infected and I had to take a test, which turned out to be negative.
So have you had any like sort of like struggles with a COVID patient or any other?
Just in the sense of actually putting myself in that position to talk to someone who has COVID-19, and having mixed emotions with going in there and then having to do my job and then coming home and worried about bringing it to my family. Yes.
Have you had any like general struggles with in COVID-19 in general, not including like work or anything like that?
Well, it gets a little frustrating when you're stuck at home all the time and you can't go to places where you used to go. We used to go out to vacation places and go camping and go to different family members' house, and basically we're stuck in Illinois because we can't afford to go out of the state and be on a 14-day quarantine when we come back. So it's kind of frustrating.
Have you had any like struggles with like any like patients at work maybe?
Such as we have struggles all the time.
Like an unruly patient or anything like that?
We've had unruly patients that have COVID-19.
Well, not specifically with COVID-19, outside of either in the pandemic or outside of the pandemic.
We have unruly patients all the time. It's just part of my job. I don't have to touch them.
So you basically get like almost zero to none contact throughout, like.
No, we get contact all the time. I just don't touch them. So I have to talk to them, and a lot of my patients have very limited social etiquette, and we're constantly telling them to put up your mask. We're constantly telling them to take steps back. Because they don't have a lot of social etiquette. So they will get up into your face because they haven't been taught otherwise.
Have you ever, this isn't pertaining to like COVID-19, have you ever had like anything like happen at work that like you maybe like didn't like or regretted that you did once?
Sometimes stuff has happened at work where I have felt sorry for some things I said to coworkers or gave a particular manager or a coworker a hard time.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, basically. Last question. If you could change maybe one thing about your life that you didn't like or maybe you could do over again, what would it be?
I would have gotten my master's degree in social work much earlier.
Is that all?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so I guess that's it. Thank you for your time with me, and thank you for taking like 10 or so minutes out of your life to talk with me.
Oh, that's no problem.